Hi everybody, I'm Bill Sanders and this is Watch Art Sci, the art and science of watch collection. Today what I want to talk about is one of the top watchmakers in the world and the company that he started, Agenhor. And what I want to look at is simply different watches by different brands. I want to have an example of one brand watch for each one of them that Agenhor has made the movement for. Now, there's two reasons for this. As a collector, you might see one and say, "Oh my God, that's special. That's not just a regular movement, and not even these. I think." Are generally better than most of the in-house movements. I mean, you take something by Agenhor, you take something by FP Jorn, you take something by Wouter Lana, you take something by Haji Asoka, and you probably better than the in-house movement of a watch that you have. Anyway, so let's talk about these and see what we have. Maybe you have a watch that already has something in it, or see something you might want. Now, the first one is one I want to show is Arnold & Son, and it's called the True North Perpetual. And it's the very first timepiece capable of indicating true solar time in a given place and the geographical north once a day at the solar noon. So the watch will tell you the solar noon and give you the true north. Interesting watch. And of course, the AGH 1764 is by Agenhor. Now, this next one is Airmass Slim to Airmass Perpetual Calendar Watch. The month and the leap year are displayed on the counter at 9 o'clock. So you can see over there at 9 o'clock, and you can see it's sort of in the middle of the little time, the hinging part where the hand goes around to the different months. There you have these four different elements that point to the different leap year or not. You have the date up at 12 o'clock and a hand date. And you look at, again, here you have a movement to make this all possible by Agenhor, AGH 111.rs. By the way, too, some of these are full movements, some are modules that will enhance the movement to make it do something really fancy. And a lot of these have won the Grand Prix. I didn't want to mix the Grand Prix and the non-Grand Prix, a little confusing. This one happened to win one of the Grand Prix awards. I forgot which one, but nice watch. And this by Airmass. Now, this one is by Van Cleef Arpels. This is the Pierre Arpels RDC et Ur d'ailleurs, which means the hour here and the hour elsewhere. This watch I own one of these, and it's one of my very favorite watches. Now, the thing about this is that the entire movement is by Jean-Marc Wiederrecht. And the reason for it is that in 1949, Pierre Arpels designed a gentleman's watch, and this came in about, must be over 50 years later, they decided to update it. And so this is the update. They decided, well, they wanted to have a gentleman's watch. They wanted to make it thin. They wanted it out of a precious metal. This is made out of white gold. They come in white gold and there's a beige gold. There may be a platinum one too. I'm not positive. Anyway, so they said, Van Cleef Arpels, who'd done a lot of other work with Agenhor, said, well, come on and fix it up. And we just want a few changes to it. And it had a movement in it by, it's a Piaget movement. That's what it was. I remember the Piaget. So you take this Piaget movement and just add a dual time and an automatic, because up until then, the Pierre Arpels watches were not automatic. And so Jean-Marc Viderec looked at this and he said, there's no way that that can be done with the Piaget movement. So I started from scratch and made this watch. And the way he solved the dual time was with, you can see the disc there, with 2 jumping hours. And then so for the minute hand, instead of having it go around, he had it a retrograde, made a retrograde of it. This has been really a delight to have. Brand Harry Winston, both Roger Dubuis and Jean-Marc Viderec worked together with Harry Winston on watches, and one of the ones that came out with an Agenhor movement, or an Agenhor module for the movement, called an AGH 111. This is, they had a base movement of a Girard-Perregaux 3306, and it was automatic self-winding with a date and a moon phase functions. And what they needed for a couple other things was perpetual calendar on it. And so Jean-Marc Viderec, our Agenhor, made this module so that not only did it have the perpetual calendar, but it had the double retrogrades in the months and the days of the months. By the way, too, this was the first watch I had that has dual retrogrades, one for seconds and one for the days of the week. I don't know if you can see it or not. That was also by Agenhor. This next watch, now this is a fairly new one by H. Moser at Company, a streamliner, flyback chronograph automatic. I think this was the first automatic that was made with the Agengraph chronograph movement. I could be wrong about that, but I think it is. And of course, H. Moser has this wonderful branch, we'll say, called Precision Engineering, who makes all of their movements. So together with Agenhor and Precision Engineering, they made this, really to me, is one of the best chronographs ever done. They removed the hour hand, the chronograph hour hand, so just to take the clutter away, because if you want to have a chronograph time, you can look at the hour hand that's there. It'll probably help you out a lot. This was just a gorgeous watch. The Parmigiani, there were more than I realized. A number of Parmigiani watches. Agenhor worked with Michel Parmigiani to some aspect of it. This one is one of the more interesting ones, another one of the award-winning ones. This is called the Hirji, or it's also called this, it's an Islamic lunar calendar. It got 12 months of 29 or 30 days. And it depends on the moon phase, and it's used to pinpoint the days for the Islamic calendar. And the module that Agenhor made, you can see it down there, is the AGH 5111. Again, working with Michel Parmigiani to create this watch. Really an interesting one. That's another thing too. When you look at a lot of watches or watch companies, they got a pretty limited dance card, so to speak. All of these have so many different movements to them. I mean, it's sort of like, well, you need a movement for this, well, we'll do it this way, rather than trying to redo the same movement again and again. Really incredible stuff from Agenhor. This watch, the Faberge Visionaire DTZ. Again, Faberge has had some just fantastic women's watches that with movements by Agenhor. And here's one, the Faberge Visionaire DTZ. DTZ for dual time zone. Gorgeous watch. One of the things I'm still trying to figure out is that the second time zone is right in the center. You can see it there. It has 24, the 24-hour clock, I guess. I think, well, how do they do that? Because both the hour hand and the minute hand are pinioned right in the middle there. They're anchored in the middle. So I wasn't sure how that they did that, but Jean-Marc Wiederrecht figured out a way to do it, and it's it's really a neat a neat watch to see that with. This one, MBNF horological machine number 3. I didn't find an AGH an AGH label or caliber name on it. But in the write-up about it, MBNF, who gives everybody credit, which is one of the things I like about MBNF, they said, oh yeah, the three-dimensional horological engine was designed by Jean-Marc Wiederrecht of Agenhor. So this is, MBNF has the most wonderful different selections of watches. Really a company I like very much. Now the last one here that I have is one I have. It's called the Chaumet Dandiardi. And it's just a very simple little module called the AGH 4202. What's not simple about it, though, is that when you have eccentric seconds. Now, what do I mean by eccentric seconds? These are small seconds that you sort of stick out away from the main gear train. And what'll happen is that they'll act funny. And so what Jean-Marc Wiederrecht did, he invented these gears with little springs in them. Each one of the teeth had a little spring, and so when the gears come together, there's no slippage. This is what causes this funny little twitter that you get sometimes with your second hand. Well, he put 2 of those suckers in here. They really have this wonderfully smooth movement. I don't know if you can see it or not, but it just perfectly smooth. And so those are the ones. Now, there are other companies I neglected to mention that they have some really great stuff. Singer's one. Singer, I think, was one of the first companies that used the Agenhor chronograph. And they eventually, the first year they entered it, they didn't win because there was another company used it the same year, and they both were in the same category. But the next year, they did win the Grand Prix for a chronograph. So that, I mean, it's like Singer is not a well-known watch company. They're known for these cars they fix up. Another company is Ming. Ming is they're a growing company. I think they're from, not positive, I think Malaysia, but I could be wrong about that. But Ming has been doing some really interesting things. They're another one. Now, another one I've been working with is called Larique. This is my Larique watch. And this has an AGH 6801 in it. And we're working on a second one now. And so this is, it's really wonderful working with this level of talent. And I'll tell you, if you can get a watch with even one of the modules, an Agenhor module in it, I think it's well worth it. Let me know what you think. And this is an opportunity to subscribe if you like. Until next time, this is Bill Sanders for Watch Art Sci, the art and science of watch collection.